Hello, this is Greg Allison from Green Greg's Garden and Worm House, coming to you on the 4th of October 2020. It just so happens that today is the 2nd anniversary of my first posting of a video on this channel. Yeah, the channel shows this older, but I didn't post anything, I wasn't using it. I use it for, just as a backup. But now I've been posting on this channel for 2 years, and we're up to 48,900 and maybe 20 subscribers. Hope we can get more because it's really slowed down this week. We started this channel out right here at this Aquaponics greenhouse, and then 10 days later I did an update. And there are some changes. There's some things I've done to it, and a lot of things that still need to be done. When I started this was all open. I got 2 swamp coolers installed here. This greenhouse is, to give you an update, 24 foot wide, and it is 16, I'll scan slower this time than I did, and 16 foot tall, and 75 foot long. And it's held up some real high wind and storms, and a lot of heat in here, but not without some damage to the tubes themselves. I'll show all that shortly. I don't have any water in the swamp coolers. I'll explain this later. I'll do a video on that. I built these swamp coolers. They're all homemade. And when I did my first video, I didn't even have any rafts in here. And the rafts, when I put them in 10 days later, didn't have any holes in them. You can see grow grips where I've had stuff in there. Some lettuce. Right now I've got a ginormous 2-year-old tomato plant. And over there is a 2-year-old pepper plant. Yeah, 2-year-old, and it's still bearing. Although it just had peppers picked off of it. We have been making some tomatoes here. Yeah, this is 2-year-old. Unfortunately, I've also got a 2-year-old briar growing up in here. I got to get it out. And I just noticed that wood on that thing is starting to look more like tree bark than vine. I mean, gosh, it's getting color on it. Gray. I already cut some of it off, but it's not like a regular briar. Now you can see I've got grow grips here. I have had at one time lettuce all in here, but I've not been growing too much of late for several reasons, and I'll go into all that in a little bit. I've got a little bit of lettuce right down here, as you can see. Let's knock down a little bit too far. So we got some lettuce, some peppers, and a bunch of tomatoes in here. I never got this thing to full capacity for a number of reasons. I can go over that in a little bit. But there's a lot to cover, and my daylight's running out here. Find some. Anyway, so I do have fish in here. I'll show you the fish. This is the air pump. I need to change the filter. It's still blowing a lot of air though. You can see the air bubbles down there. And the black is some algae that needs to be cleaned out, of course. And my water pump is still working. I got that off the side of a road. And I discovered through even these little pipes, it would pump more water than I could drain through these larger pipes here. One of these days I'm going to redo this if I redesigned it with a different pipe, but that was the biggest bulkhead fitting I could get. I've discovered since then there's other things I could use. And our fish in here, good goldfish. Yeah, just goldfish in this one. And there's brim in here. You probably can't see them because they're dark. They're there. And these sections of plywood have this purpose, and I have to readjust them, being over the top to keep algae from being in there. These tanks are painted black to keep the algae out. And I got these 2 ginormous 5-foot fans to suck the air out of here. Now, the funny thing about this greenhouse, this is a deep water culture greenhouse meant for float tanks. I was planning to build another deep water system over here. I think instead I'm going to go with a gravel media bed, bunch of tanks so I can alternate my crop. This was built to be able to grow 1,000 heads of lettuce a week. But the restaurant market probably isn't what it used to be, so I'm not sure I want to follow that market anymore. You can see I added these struts. I actually built this in here after I put the top up. Those poles was, and that center line was put up to be able to take a snow load. Should I have one here? I never have had a snow load. I've still got the Shadecloth on the top, and I will probably take that off in November. Now I had 2 different types of plastic pipe. This is all 2-inch tubing. Greg, you can't use PVC pipe with plastic. Normally that's true, but I painted it. When you paint it, the gassing from the PVC won't affect the plastic. Yeah, the gassing normally will. But what happened is to get the deep sockets I need so the pipes wouldn't pop apart, which I discovered was absolutely a requirement. I had to get two different type pipes, and one type of plastic is stiffer, or PVC, than the other, and so it made the greenhouse a little lopsided, and over time that got magnified as heat and load got on it. So it's got kind of a bend to it. It's still strong. It still holds weight, and it probably will for another year or two, but at some point I'm gonna have to replace these PVC tubes, and I've got to decide, do I want to go to metal or not. And these PVC tubes, 1.5 inches, they're sitting, I said 2 inches, they're 1.5 inches, they're sitting in a 2-inch tube, and it's bolted on there, sitting on a fence post. And I don't know if you can see all that because it's dark in here and getting dark fast. But this is where I started this channel, in this greenhouse. And I've done things in here. I've had some challenges though. I do work a full-time job, and I do have 2 YouTube channels, and I do have a worm farm, and I have grown some microgreens, so and a market garden outside. So I really got too many irons in the fire. It's real bad. But the worst thing with this is I was planning to put tilapia in here, and you might have saw a video where I did put some tilapia in here last fall. I've had a problem. Volunteers are often come along, or workers, and before you get a chance to fully train them, they get a good idea to be helpful, and they do something sometimes that's very destructive. I don't have a well yet. I'm still running off city water, so I have to dechlorinate my water. Well, I set up a special tank to dechlorinate water so I can fill this 600 gallons at a time. And I've got special pumps and air stones and all that to do that. And you really got to watch it when you fill it up, or you'll back drain it and empty the whole tank out. So you have to really watch what you do when you do that. I'll show you this one day. But there is my dechlorination tank. I did actually brew worm tea in that one time, but that tank was set there to dechlorinate my water for filling this up. Now, the problem is that I had 2 people come in and run chlorinated water in here twice since I started this operation. And the chlorinating, it was an accident. They meant well, but they wiped out my system. So I had to dechlorinate the water and reestablish the bacterial culture 2 times now. And in the midst, and it killed my tilapia. So I've had fish killed twice for that. I've got some goldfish and brim that have survived that. But my tilapia couldn't handle it. They died. And I didn't redo the tilapia this year because I just didn't have time to redo some things. This year has been a you-know-what burger, and it's just been tough. So I didn't even set up the swamp cooler, so I'd planted some lettuce earlier on. It didn't do too well because it got too hot in here. But I've got some lettuce running here now. I'll show some videos soon about how to plant lettuce to set out in these systems here. But, oh, this door's locked now. The operative thing is that how this system works is the following. You feed fish, and fish pee and poop. Fish exude ammonia. I'll walk outside where there's more light. Fish exude ammonia through their skin, and they pee and poop. Well, the poop is broken down into solid waste and ammonia by autotrophic bacteria. The pee and ammonia that's ordinary. Pee is mostly ammonia anyway. So you get a bacteria group called Nitrosomonas that break down the ammonia into nitrite. Well, it turns out that either ammonia or nitrite are toxic to fish. Let me walk around here in the garden. But there's another group of bacteria that take nitrites and break them down into nitrates. Those are nitrobacters. Now, nitrobacters, and along with the Nitrosomonas and autotrophic bacteria, help you complete the nitrogen cycle. By completing the nitrogen cycle, you're doing a partial closed loop life support system for the nitrogen. For those that are in the space stuff. So it's an interesting thing, and essentially you get minerals and nitrate, which plants need to grow. Occasionally some people augment their systems with some stuff, and some don't augment them with anything at all in terms of making the plant growth more efficient. So there's my greenhouse from the outside. She's a beast, you know, it was my first greenhouse I ever built. My first. I did do a test loop down here, which taught me a few lessons about how, and I'll walk up to it, about building the greenhouse. And I'll do more videos on greenhouse building and we may turn on the hot water system finally. I do have a solar powered hot water system. I might better do that when there's more light and you can see what I'm doing. It's not crucial I do it today. But that greenhouse, you can tell by the fact that it's got a 2-year-old tomato and pepper plants, never got below freezing last year. Never. Or the year before. That greenhouse indoors, since I built it, has never dropped below freezing. I do have a kerosene shop heater I run there on occasion. But for the most part, the water takes care of it. I got so much water in there. The thermal mass of the water does the work. And I built this test tube. The first time I built it is when I discovered that I couldn't use just your regular joints that join together PVC pipe, like you might find over here. And I had to have, one of them had to be a deep well socket off the end of one of the pipe. It had to be a bell attachment. And nothing else would hold. Everything else would shatter. This has been here before the greenhouse, and it's still round, by the way. Both of these happen to be the same material. One of those is only 10 foot long, the other is 20. The greenhouse has 2 of those, and they're both 20 foot long. Now, what I did discover when I built this thing, you can see I got it up high, is this is too high. It's way too high. Manhandling this to put it in was a nightmare. And so I cut all the other ones off short so that they're only sticking out of the ground like 3 foot. And you can see I got a U-bolt system in here to hold this pipe up, and that pipe holds that one. Now there's not any strap hold, you know, that's not tied in or screwed in like the ones inside, but there's, it's made it. It's been out here for all these years now, just standing by itself, kind of like the arch in St. Louis, the arch of Green Greg's garden, and it's doing well. And you've probably seen it in the background. There's my tomato trellis. I have grown good tomatoes on those. This year things kind of got away from me. I'll show you real quick before it gets too dark. I did a video a couple of days ago, and I'm not sure which one of these videos I'm going to air first. Maybe this one. Look at this. Like that squash. How about that, guys? Remember I did a video out here talking about is it too late to plant it? I've already harvested one of those, and it looks like a couple of those are ready really to harvest now. And I stuck up all my beans out here. I don't know if you can see those. Okay, it's really too dark to work out here right now, so I'm gonna have to come back and do some video on this later. I'm gonna plant some radishes probably tomorrow evening after work. I'll do another video then. But this is the 1-year anniversary of the beginning of my channel. Oh yeah, here's the solar panels. Now I gotta pull these weeds out so the sun likes to shine on them right. Actually, this weed here is where I do the video. And I gotta turn all those on. All I gotta do is open the valves. The sun actually pumps the water. I think I've talked about that on the video. I'll talk about that again in the not too distant future. Anyway, everyone, all I'm gonna say right now is thank you for watching.